Hello everyone, you have come to Tata Comic Preview channel. This is an art collage novel video. I made this series so you guys can experience the story faster. The video will focus on the character's psychology, the images are for illustration purposes only. He smacked the table, and a few martial arts practitioners immediately surrounded him, locking onto Jingnan with overflowing killing intent. Normally, Jingnan would definitely fly into a rage on the spot. The Money Chamber of Commerce was a reputable chamber of commerce and a big force. However, with Song Xiong's example, he did not dare to act on his own. The people of this rookie mercenary group were all crazy. They might really sacrifice themselves to the flag and kill them for the monkeys to see. Among the four of them, Chao Luo was the oldest and the most experienced. At this moment, the other three were all staring at him, as if they were looking at him as their leader. Moreover, Myriad Treasure Store was the leader of the merchant union. Chao Luo coughed a few times and said, "This data is only incomplete information collected by the rookie mercenary group. Many of the costs were not included. How can the real income be so high? Moreover, these are the internal affairs of our Chamber of Commerce. What right does Captain Yunxiao have to interfere? A country has its laws, and a family has its rules," Yunxiao snorted. "You're doing business in someone else's territory, so you have to respect the rules of their territory, right?" Chao Luo thought for a while and said, "Yes, that's true. We didn't break any rules in the forest, did we?" Yunxiao slapped the table and shouted, "Have you all forgotten the rules that were just set? Do you want me to give you a reminder?" He walked in front of Chao Luo, slapped the materials he had just given out, and shouted, "Old man, read out the first line for me." Chao Luo was stunned, and the four people from the merchant union were all stunned and speechless. As for the members of the mercenary group, they were all secretly laughing in their hearts, feeling great joy. Thinking about how much these unscrupulous merchants had earned, he couldn't wait to rush up and hack them to death. The first line on the material was written, "The newbie mercenary group was in charge of all the affairs in the west of the city. It's everything. Do you understand, old thing?" With a ruffian's face, Yunxiao cursed a few times before he sat back in his chair and snorted, "If there's anyone who doesn't want to stay in the Lightsong Forest, you can pack your bags and get out. I won't force you to stay." The four men from the merchant union were all livid, trying to hold back their anger. They were all doing business, so they naturally couldn't fall out with the local snake. However, the members of the merchant union were also very powerful, and people would give them face wherever they went. It was a good thing that Yunxiao's disrespectful behavior had never happened before. Shenli was also so angry that cold air was exuding from her body. But, she still needed Yunxiao's strength to deal with the Four Extreme sect, so she did not speak with a livid face. "Then, how do you think the merchant union should change, Captain Yunxiao?" Chao Luo asked in a deep voice. Yunxiao chuckled and said, "You guys are making so much profit in a year, our brothers are all uncomfortable. Everyone had risked their lives to get this money. Of course, it doesn't make sense for you to spit it out. How about this, I'll ask my good friend, Miss Ding Ling, to open Tianyuan Trading Company and make it the overall manager of the trading company. In the future, all four of you must operate legally under the guidance of Tianyuan Trading Company. What does everyone think?" "What?" Chao Luo slammed the table in anger, and his fragile body suddenly became strong. His eyes flashed with a fierce light and he said angrily, "We have nothing to say about Captain Yunxiao's decision to promote Tianyuan Trading Company. But if she wants us four families to listen to her, that's too much of a joke. Not bad. Although Miss Ding Ling is quite talented and has a great reputation in the merchant union," Jingnan also said angrily. "But she's still too young to be in charge of the matters of the Lightsong Woodland." Yunxiao laughed. "Young? No, you're wrong. It wasn't Ling who hosted it, but she was asked to send someone else. The four of you are not high enough. Let the vice president come over, and Ling will be the host. You. Are you going to start a war with the merchant union?" Song Xiong also stepped forward. At this time, if the four chambers of commerce were not united, they might really be eaten by this person in front of them. Only Shenli hesitated for a moment. Although her attitude wasn't that tough, she still said, "That's not very good." Merchant Union? Can the four of you represent the entire merchant union? Not bad. The person in charge of a branch could boast that he could represent the entire merchant union. Ling, you must tell everyone in the merchant union about this during the 2 meetings and see how powerful the 4 core sects are. Yunxiao teased. Ding Ling was still in a daze, and Yunxiao had not informed her in advance. But, she did not expect such a big pie to fall on her head. She was so happy that she was about to cry. Holding back the tears in her nose, she smiled and said, "I will." The lackeys of a few branches could represent the entire merchant union. I'll definitely inform your 4 presidents and all the 100+ members of the merchant union. She felt an indescribable sweetness and happiness in her heart. All these years, he had been running around alone to support the teetering Tianyuan trading company. There were cold gazes and mockery everywhere. When had he ever received such care? Her heart melted in her body. This buy-in? Song Xiong was dumbfounded. Beads of cold sweat rolled down his face. In terms of rank, Ding Ling was more qualified to represent the merchant union than they were. Moreover, this kind of wild talk could be considered small or big. If he were to seriously pursue it, he would not be able to keep his head. Ahem. Qiao Luo coughed heavily to cover up Song Xiong's embarrassment and said, although Song Xiong's words are a little exaggerated, Captain Yunxiao's actions are clearly on bad terms with our 4 chambers of commerce. I believe that this is definitely not Regiment Commander Hao Lian's intention. I hope that Captain Yunxiao will not make his own decision. Is it Commander Hao Lian's idea or not? Yunxiao shouted. Do I know better, or do you know better? Am I the leader of a rookie mercenary group, or are you? Why don't you be the captain? This buy-in? Qiao Luo was speechless. Why was this young man like a hooligan? He couldn't speak at all. Yunxiao clapped his hands, and immediately, his men brought out some materials and placed them in front of the 4 men. These are the management rules of the Chamber of Commerce in the Lightsong Forest. Please sign here to cooperate. It contained detailed information about Tianyuan Trading Company, and all the activities and operations of the 4 trading companies had to be approved by Tianyuan Trading Company. How could the 4 of them be willing to sign such a rule? They were so angry that they were trembling all over, sitting there and glaring at each other. Yunxiao turned to Shenli, who was beside him, and said with a smile, Auntie Shen, you can lead the way. If we don't do well today. You know what I mean. Shenli's expression changed drastically. She naturally understood what Yunxiao meant, which was that they had no chance of dealing with the 4 extreme sect. The order from above was to capture Tang Jia and exchange him for the ship key. What worried her the most was that if she didn't listen, this kid would deliberately cause trouble. At that time, not only would he not be of help, but he would also make things difficult for her. That would be really troublesome. After weighing the pros and cons, she finally gave in. He signed the management regulations with a gloomy face. The Gentle Song Forest was only a small branch of the Empyrean 1 pavilion. And Noah's ship was the top priority. Shenli, you. The other 3 people were shocked and angry, their faces full of shock and horror. They couldn't understand why she would sign such a form. Auntie Shen, you're very obedient. The next one, Old Man Qiao, it's your turn. At Yunxiao's signal, the material was placed in front of Qiao Luo. Qiao Luo's face was livid, and she said coldly, I'll never sign it. You can give up. If you have the ability, kill me now. Old Man Qiao is indeed a man of character, Yunxiao said with a smile. However, do the 19-year-old concubine and 2 swaddled sons you hid in Wang San's house know that you have such a strong character? Also, poor Wang San thought he found a beautiful wife and had 2 sons. When he was carrying out the mission, he was also at ease. Did he know that the child's father had such a strong character? Also, in Wang San's mission, he died with a martial royal realm expert in order to save his brother. After that, why did one of the 4 martial emperors under Old Man Qiao go missing? Qiao Luo's face instantly turned pale. All the mercenaries were shocked at the same time. They all understood what was going on, and their faces were filled with indignation. Wang San was also the leader of a small mercenary group, and was also a martial emperor. Although they were not famous, they had good relationships with many mercenary groups. He didn't expect that the failure of that mission was actually done by this old bastard. Moreover, the wife and 2 sons that Wang San had been providing for were also this old thing's children. Everyone was burning with anger. In their mercenary profession, they lived their lives with their heads hanging in the air every day. One day, it might not be their own. Therefore, he was especially concerned about his family's safety and funeral matters. It was a taboo to steal someone's wife and take advantage of their children. Qiao Luo's face was so dark that water could drip out of it. He wanted to deny it, but under Yunxiao's clear eyes, he could not do so at all. His pupils dilated as he stared at Yunxiao, his face ashen. How could a young man be so experienced and vicious? What kind of soul was in this young body? Don't think that you 4 Chamber of Commerce are the only ones who collect information from all sides every day in the Qingge woodland, Yunxiao said coldly. Do you think that we are all fools? Let me tell you, it's not just the newbie mercenary groups. Even the rotten groups like Storm and Skeleton know everything about you. What you had for dinner last night, how many seconds you persevered, how many times you shouted, what style you had, all of it is in the records. This is the Light Song Forest, not your merchant union's headquarters, Songyue City. Yunxiao's words struck the 4 men's ears like a thunderbolt. Their heads buzzed, and their faces stiffened. Shenli even blushed and looked ashamed and angry. Qiao Luo almost fainted. It was about her, Wang San's wife, and the 2 illegitimate children. He had always thought that his plan was flawless, but he did not expect that he was already under surveillance. He raised his trembling hand and signed the document. Yunxiao laughed. You're very obedient, old man. This must be the big brother of the money gang, right? It's your turn. Jingnan's face was also pale. He sat there, not moving at all. Your life is your own, Yunxiao said. The benefits belong to the gang. You better weigh the pros and cons carefully. I heard that brother Jingnan has been wandering around the golden sand recently. I'll sign it. Jingnan's entire body trembled in shock as he hurriedly interrupted. He picked up a pen and quickly wrote down his name, afraid that Yunxiao would say something. However, the words, Golden Sand Field, still fell into everyone's ears, and they all revealed suspicious expressions. That place was famous for being a land of great danger, and very few martial artists dared to set foot there. Only Cong Xiang was left, his forehead was covered in cold sweat, and his heart was trembling. The other 3 had already signed it. If he didn't sign it, he would probably be dead. However, in the current situation, he was not in charge of the 4 extreme sect of the Light Song Forest. If he were to sign this and return, that young master would probably be the first to kill him. But what made him stunned was that after Jingnan signed the contract, Yunxiao did not seem to have any intention of letting him sign it. Instead, he put it away and said with a smile, Everyone is very cooperative. I believe that the city's west, and even the entire Light Song woodland, will get better and better under the jurisdiction of rookie mercenary group. Let's applaud, everyone. After he finished speaking, he started clapping. Then, his gaze swept across the square one by one. Everyone who was stared at by him raised their hands in shock and applauded desperately. Soon, the entire square was filled with warm applause. Cong Xiang was stunned and started clapping as well. He didn't understand why he didn't need to sign. The other 3 also felt strange. After clapping, Shen Li reminded, Captain Yunxiao, it seems like we've forgotten about 1 Chamber of Commerce, right? Yunxiao laughed. There was no such thing. The 4 extreme sect was full of tough men with unyielding strength. Moreover, I don't like to force people to do things. Your sister. And you don't like to force people. Almost everyone in the square was cursing in their hearts. If possible, they really wanted to rush up and step on his face a few times. So, Yingluo. His eyes narrowed slightly, and he said with a smile, the Four Extremes sect will temporarily withdraw from the Light Song Forest and all their businesses will be taken over by Tianyuan Trading Company. When the situation in the city is stabilized, Tianyuan Chamber of Commerce will consider and approve the procedure for Four Extremes Chamber of Commerce to enter again. Whoosh! Everyone's expression changed drastically. Sang Xiong was even more shocked. He put his hands together and even made a clapping gesture. His mouth was wide open. Shen Li's heart skipped a beat. Was it about to start? She secretly admired Yunxiao's decisiveness in killing and punishing. He did not hesitate at all and did what he said. The rest of the people found it hard to understand. This was the same as creating a life and death situation for the Four Extremes sect. What power did he have to fight against the Four Extremes sect? Even though their headquarters wasn't in the forest, they could still send some experts over and easily destroy your rookie mercenary group. Sang Xiong couldn't react for a long time. He really couldn't understand how he had offended this lunatic. Was it because he had rebutted him a few times? Isn't this a little too nonsensical? Under everyone's jesting and anticipating gazes, he secretly relaxed. If he were to sign the agreement and do such a disgraceful thing that would damage the reputation of the Chamber of Commerce, he might be slapped to death by that young master when he returned. But now that the other party had directly forced the Chamber of Commerce into a desperate situation, he didn't have to bear too much responsibility for such a big matter since that person was there. However, he still had to do some work to keep up appearances. "Brat, don't you go too far," he shouted in anger. "Pa." No one saw Yunxiao's action, only a few afterimages. Then, Sang Xiong was smacked to the ground and made a loud noise. "I'm kind enough to let you evacuate, and you're still picking a fight with me?" Yunxiao stepped forward and picked Sang Xiong up as he snorted coldly. "If that's the case, then there's no need to retreat." He turned around and looked at the crowd. "Guys, this 4-level Chamber of Commerce is really despicable. Everyone, come with me to destroy them. The newbie mercenary group is looking forward to your performance. The distribution of the various benefits will be reflected in your performance this time." His eyes fell on Xiao Luo and the other two again. He smiled and said, "And the 3 head shopkeepers of the Chamber of Commerce, do you also feel ashamed that such a shameless person has appeared in the Merchant Union? Why don't you come with me? I'll give you a chance to clean up your sect." Xiao Luo was shocked and quickly shook his head. "Captain Yunxiao, you must be joking. This is the Four Extremes sect's own business. Although we are all part of the Merchant Union, we each take care of our own matters. We don't have the right to take care of them." Jingnan's face was also white. He shook his head repeatedly and said, "Captain Yunxiao, please go ahead. We're not feeling well, so we'll be going back for now." Yunxiao's face darkened as he shouted, "We all live in the west of the city. Why should the mercenary groups fight for their lives while you Chamber of Commerce's hide? Didn't they usually boast about how awesome their Chamber of Commerce was?" He was playing dead now. "The 3 of you, please come with me." Immediately, a few martial artists walked over and sandwiched the 3 people on both sides. From the looks of it, they had to carry them even if they didn't want to. At this moment, even a fool would understand. Yunxiao was going to deal with the Four Extremes Chamber of Commerce, and he was going to drag everyone down with him. How was this kid a lunatic? He was clearly a cunning fox. It was no wonder Sang Xiong had intentionally picked a fight with Sang Xiong from the start. Unfortunately, Sang Xiong's turtle shell was still broken and he was unable to escape. Furthermore, this kid knew that the Four Extremes sect was not to be trifled with, which was why he had dragged all the mercenary groups into this, even the other merchant alliances. There was no lack of infighting in the Merchant Union. As long as they went, even if they didn't do anything, they would be taken into account by the Four Extremes sect. At that time, it would be inevitable that another storm would arise. Starting from today's gathering of mercenaries, he would suppress the other 2 major mercenary groups and take control of the west of the city. Then, he would eliminate the dissidents, support the trusted group, divide the profits of the Chamber of Commerce, forcibly join Tianyuan Trading Company, and cut the big cake away. Now, he had expanded the warship and pulled everyone onto the ship to deal with the Four Extremes sect. This series of actions had been completed one by one, just when everyone thought he was crazy. Was this the intelligence and methods that a 16 or 17-year-old youth should have? Under that unruly and seemingly arrogant face, what kind of exquisite and bold heart was there? Brother Mu Wu, do you want to go and have some fun? Yunxiao looked up at the sky. It was a clear sky, and no one was there. But soon, Mu Wu's voice was heard, I'm not interested. The scum of the skeleton mercenary group hasn't arrived yet. I'm going to have some fun with them. Wait. Yunxiao said in a hurry. The Four Extremes sect has been operating in the west of the city for so many years. God knows how many secrets they have. Brother Mu Wu, come with me. I guarantee you'll find something more interesting than the skeleton mercenaries. Oh. Mu Wu's figure slowly appeared in the air, and he laughed, in that case, I'll go with you. I do want to see if the legendary Four Alliances are really that strong. Yunxiao secretly breathed a sigh of relief. With Mu Wu going with him, he would have a much greater chance of success. As the young master of the Four Extremes sect, it was impossible for Tang Jia to not have one or two experts by his side. This Mu Wu looked like a fanatic who was obsessed with the martial path, and was the best fighter. Let's go. He picked up Song Xiong, whose face was bruised and swollen from the slap, and dragged him away. Over 1,000 people headed towards the base of the Four Extremes sect in the west of the city. However, many of them were frowning and had no choice. Shen Li was a little nervous in the crowd. She casually looked at Hong Yi and saw the worry and fear in each other's eyes. Obviously, Yunxiao's ability had exceeded their expectations, and they were afraid that things would not go so smoothly. The branches of the four core leagues were highly respected and protected by the local forces, no matter where they were in the realm of heavenly martial arts. Although they would also gather information and carry out all sorts of small actions, they would generally not participate in the competition between local powers. Their main job was still to do business and earn big money. Many local powers also needed these chambers of commerce to provide all kinds of resources. Overall, they were still very popular. As such, the four core leagues were able to do well in a city of chaos like the Singing Forest, maintaining a peaceful business environment. However, after the huge profits were exposed this time, it was unknown if they would still be able to remain aloof and unaffected in the future. Among the few people from the Merchant Union, Chao Luo and Jingnan's faces were as pale as a dead pig's liver, uglier than a pig's liver. This made all the members of the mercenary group feel happy. These people from the Merchant Union were usually high and mighty, as if they had a superior status. Now, he was suppressed by Yunxiao and did not dare to make a sound, which made him feel very happy. As for Song Xiong, he was knocked out by Yunxiao's slap and was dragged on the ground. In fact, with his cultivation, he had already woken up, but when he thought of the young master of the Chamber of Commerce, he was so scared that he closed his eyes and continued to play dead. The only one who was calm was Shen Li. Her eyes were calm as she followed the crowd. Yunxiao did not walk fast. The key was to build momentum. As for the four-level Chamber of Commerce, he wasn't worried that they would run away. He had already sent dozens of experts to cover the surrounding 1,000 meters. They would report the slightest movement. Everything that happened today seemed reckless, but it was all within his calculations. Soon, they arrived in front of the four-level Chamber of Commerce's branch. Thousands of people surrounded the area within a 100-meter radius. Even flies could not escape. Yunxiao handed a piece of paper to Chao Luo, pushed him out, and said, "Old man Qiao, the four-level Chamber of Commerce is a member of the Merchant Union. Now I'm helping you to clean up your sect, so you can read the opening speech." Chao Luo felt dizzy. "Clean up your sister. You were the one who wanted to destroy the Four Extremes sect. Why are you helping us now?"